Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Kohetsu Aogami or Blue number 2. Get a 2 there. Nashiji Honesuki 150mm knife. So this knife has a core steel of Aogami or what's known as blue paper number 2, reactive high carbon steel. Heat treats about 62 Rockwell on that core steel. And the construction on this is 3 layers. So on the outside of the core hard center of the cutting edge steel, you've got a softer stainless cladding on either side of that Aogami or Blue number 2. And then it looks like it does not come over the top of the spine, so you'll see the 3 layers at the top of the spine on this. So even though the sides are stainless, the top, that core steel's not. Of course, you should be wiping and drying off your knife after each use anyway, so it shouldn't make much of a difference, but just be aware of that. So not only do you have reactive steel at the edge, but you'll have it at the top on the spine as well. Just a little FYI. The weight and dimensions on these can vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 102 grams or about 3.6 ounces. The edge length is right about 150 millimeters or about 6 inches, slightly under 6 inches. And overall length about 11.2 inches on this. The spine thickness, these are fairly stiff, and that's what you typically want in this style of a blade. And so I got about 3.1 millimeters at the back here, above the back of the heel. And then I'm halfway down, I measured about 2.8. And that's typical of this style of knife. You don't want it to get too thin as you go down. You want some stiffness to it, which this has some nice stiffness. And then you can see it thins up pretty nice as the grind hits and you get towards the tip. Now this is a double bevel Honesuki style knife, so it's an ambidextrous. Many of them are more of a single bevel style, either oriented around usually a right-hander or occasionally you'll find left-handed ones, but this is ambidextrous, so very flexible. The blade height is about 39 millimeters at the back. That can vary a little bit as well. And the handle's a pretty standard octagonal walnut with a black peckerwood ferrule. Nice fit and finish on this particular handle. Everything is very smooth. The glue up looks pretty good where the tang goes into the front of it. And it's just a pretty standard octagonal. This one's a little bit more rectangular. You can see the corners aren't super big on it, but it's just a pretty easy to hold handle. It's about 73 millimeters in circumference where these two materials meet, and typically these type of knives have decent sized handles on them for a little grip. So depending on how you like to hold your knife when you use it for this particular task, do have some spot there for a pinch grip, so you can put a pinch grip on there nicely if need be. If you are curious about the balance point, it is right about just behind that choil, which is that vertical part of the blade right there. The out-of-the-box edge on these is pretty good. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 on my scale, so pretty decent edge. Seems pretty sharp from my tests. Here's what the right side of the blade looks like as you'd be using it. So it has what's called he calls it a Nashiji, which is meant to be a pear skin type finish, is what this described as. And so it's got a little bit of that texture. It also has some blacksmith kind of protective coating on it known as a kurauchi, which is kind of a light gray style, blackish, and each side's going to be a little different. These all are slightly different, so they'll have some interesting variations in each one. They've got a little bit of that kind of handcrafted character to them. There is a kanji here that looks like it's, I don't think it's laser, but it's embossed, very fine. It's actually well done. It's crisp, but it's finely done, and it's easy to read. Not that I know what it says, obviously, but it's nicely done in terms of execution. You can see this is kind of the frosted blade grind or blade road, some people call it. And then here's your edge steel, and there's the cladding line, that little frosted line there at the end. And so the edge steel is peeking out, so that's the right side of the blade. This is the left side of the blade. Again, the top does have the 3 layers exposed there, so you can see that. Fit and finish is pretty good on these. They do just a little bit of relief on the spine, a little bit here on the choil into the neck, so it's pretty well comfortable out of the box. You get a decent edge out of the box, and this is super easy to sharpen. It'll get really nice and sharp, hold a decent edge. Again, it's got good grinds on it. It's fairly stiff. Let's look at it on the cutting board. Here we go. So let's take a look at the edge profile. Not that some people use these little bit of utility knife as well, so hence we'll put the edge profile on there. So here's what it looks like on the edge. And I don't think I gave you a troll shot, but it's ground fairly thin at the tip, and it's ground fairly thin at the edge, so this would be a nice performing Honesuki style blade. But yeah, they're priced reasonably, and you get a lot for your money with these, and the craftsmanship's really good. And this is a very nice example of that style of blade. So this is the Kohetsu Aogami or blue number 2. Imagine there's a 2 there. Nashiji Honesuki 150mm knife.